Something feels different. Hello and welcome back to Tabletop Archives, where I, Frank, go over D&D world building because reasons. Today, I was going to talk about a faction, but much like my hair, I decided to go completely different direction spur of the moment. So instead we're going to talk about something else. Ancient and forbidden magic systems. Ooh. So as I stated in my races video, Wizards decides to keep coming out with different and new stuff. Listen, I'm not going to complain about the different and new stuff. I enjoy different and new stuff. But as a DM who's been using his campaign for a good 5 years, I'm getting a little mad that they keep introducing new types of magic. Now sure, it's magics that people have been wanting for a long time, such as Psionics and others. But the problem is when they introduce brand new ones that I never had any indication were going to be in there. Looking at you, Necromancy. I'm not gonna lie, Necromancy is pretty cool. It's a version of time magic in D&D, uses control gravity stuff. Nice work. But that doesn't help me, the guy who wants to establish his world and have some sort of, consistency. Of course I could just say, no, we don't do Necromancy in the world, but I don't like to limit my players. And of course I could just make a new world, but I've already wasted so much of my time, so many years, making this one. So instead, I came up with a way around that, and I call it Ancient and Forbidden Magics. As I've described in various other videos about timelines and eras, if you can establish an era before the main campaign takes place, you can have yourself some ancient magic. This ancient magic can be long lost, and so when a new player arrives and makes themselves known by using Necromancy, because it's definitely not because it's in a cool new book, you can say, yes, it's because your character actually knows ancient magics that was lost to the eons. And now you don't have to retcon anything. It's pretty good. So this is really just a system to make the newer stuff that Wizards is going to put in, any magic systems you might come up with, any cool subclasses or races or anything else that you come up with, you can introduce it into your world without it just being like a sudden jerk. So let's start off with the first one. Ancient magics. So with ancient magic, like I've said, all you have to do is state that there was a previous era that used that magic and then it was lost during some sort of event. It can be gods coming down, it can be a library that had all the information got burned to a crisp. It can even be an owl bear, just really had a score to settle with some wizard. Whatever the reason is, you can just justify it as that was a long forgotten ancient magic except for this new character who has it. However, forbidden magic gets a little bit more interesting. How come this person's the first one to use Necromancy? Well, it's because it's forbidden. And by having the characters perform forbidden magic, that can add so much nuance. Suddenly, they're no longer just the wizard who can do cool time stuff. They're now a fugitive on the run. Perhaps they stole these secrets when they weren't meant to. Perhaps it's from an ancient civilization that still exists but doesn't want people to know, and they've escaped, and now people are after them. Or, of course, we could just, flat out say it could be necromancy, which is always forbidden because it's dead people, man. Like, that's messed up. So all you have to do is come up with a reason why it's forbidden, come up with who made it forbidden, the they in this situation, and then how does the player react knowing that? Do they know it up front? Do they not know it up front? These are the questions that you can ask yourself once you start playing the campaign. So again, ancient, forbidden, it really doesn't matter which route you go. Either of these can justify the magics, the new magics that are getting brought in, without that much effort being put in on your part for world building. So before we get into that, I want to talk about some of the ancient, lost, and forbidden magics that I have. Let's start off with the big one, Necromancy. Yeah, it's forbidden because it's Necromancy. The main reason I have Necromancy in my world, just forbidden, is the fact that it has to do with undead. It has to do with a lot of evil magic. There are various gods that, control necromancy, can do whatever they want with it, and have gifted that power onto their followers. But it's mainly the fact that liches are a thing, and everyone hates liches. So, at some point in the history books, someone tried to become a lich. It backfired, obviously, because we have a new campaign. But people decided, you know what? Undead, unethical. You can't be a vampire because vampires are creepy. How dare you suck someone's soul just so you can live a few minutes longer? Add that fact in with, the fact that my world really cares about the gods again. It's always associated that divine magic and necromancy are kind of at odds because divine magic is about making and creating new life, and necromancy is about bringing it back after its natural endpoint. So that necromancy is just a natural fit for it for being forbidden magic. It's not per se ancient in the sense that it was lost, but it's been around for a while, so it can kind of be ancient. Up next is Dunamancy, because golly, Matt Mercer, those are really cool subclasses. Dunamancy is really cool, and I was struggling to find some sort of way to introduce it until I thought, wait a minute, I have an entire society of wizards who want strong and powerful spells just for themselves. Oh, they'd ban it. They'd ban it hardcore. And so Dunamancy is a forbidden magic. Does that mean people don't, practice it? Oh, they practice it. Just to spite the wizards. So because the Dunamancy subclasses, 2 of them are wizards, I figure Dunamancy is more of a learned ability. Something that you really have to study and pour into to really comprehend and grasp. It's not just something you can pick up and be like, ah, yes, I figured it out. And because of that, that usually means that if someone has practiced Dunamancy, they have a connection to Akarum, which if you want to know about Akarum, we fleshed that out in an earlier video. So Dunamancy, by having it be forbidden, because of how powerful it is, it helps to flesh out the world a little bit. It helps make these continents more interconnected, and it gives an importance to whatever character I'm figuring out has it. Just gonna keep doing this. Up next is the one that we're all pretty confident is going to be made into actual subclasses at any point, Psionics. So I decided in my world that Psionics isn't a forbidden magic, but rather one that most people don't even know about. I have limited Psionics to one spot in my world, to one empire ruling over it. I don't want to get too much into it in case any of my players end up watching this video, but there is a civilization that has encountered Psionics, where they were gifted the powers of being able to control things with their minds, and now they use that to their advantage. It's all part of their society. They have psionic warrior guards, wizards at the top of their class who can bend reality with their mind. And I have it wrapped around one specific civilization, just to make things a little bit more controlled. Much like how Matt Mercer does Dunamancy in his world, where it's only the cream really know how to do it, I'm doing that with Psionics. Up next, we had a subclass that was released, and then I think they got rid of it because people didn't like it a lot. Onomancy. I again put this in here because it was an Unearthed Arcana, and I was scared that it was going to become an actual class, and then I was getting into this spiral state that Wizards was going to keep releasing new types of magics that I couldn't come up with because I've only been playing D&D for about 5 years, so I don't know as much lore stuff as everyone else, and it's just, yeah. So I put Onomancy in here. I consider it more of an ancient magic. One lost to the realms, except for a handful of wizards who just really, really want to remember that. Up next is when we start to get into the ones that are a little bit more homebrew. This one I call Hemogenosis. Blood magic is forbidden mainly due to the fact that the gods that really use blood magic tend to be evil. Like, I can't think of one singular god that's maybe like a god about like medicine and like health. Could be a blood magic, but like, you don't really see those. So blood magic is in my world because I just wanted to justify it. I have a campaign right now where they all TPK'd again, but because of the god that one of them was serving, they all got brought back and had to form a blood pact with the god and each other in order to get some new abilities. And I'm still thinking about ways of introducing mechanics of it. If you're interested in the mechanics I already have about my blood magic, let me know and I will make a video about that. So I have a god of over blood magic, and so that the reason that I put this in here is mainly because I have a campaign focused around blood magic a little bit. And on top of that, Mercer. I say it like I don't like. I like him. He's a really cool dude. He keeps creating like really original stuff. I'm just mad that I have to keep justifying his stuff in my campaigns. So because of Matt Mercer's Blood Hunter class, because it's real good. That's another form of blood magic. It even says it in there that they take this, vial and it transforms them and their blood now is, magic laced. So I fit that into Homogenosis. Now you're probably wondering, Frank, why is there like 2 different words? Why don't you just call it blood magic? Because there's the scientific term and the more generic term. So for Dunamancy, I'd probably just call it time magic. Onomancy, name magic. Obviously, if I could come up with cooler names than just this magic or that magic, I will. And in fact, spoilers. But I like the idea that there is a technical term for it and then the layman's terms for it. So overall, in blood magic, I have Mad Mercer's Blood Hunter. I have some homebrew stuff. I mean, I even have some ideas for classes or subclasses that I'm going to throw in there whenever I get around to actually making those subclasses. But Homogenesis is just this overarching umbrella for a lot of different things that basically involve your blood in order to perform the magic. And then finally, my own personal homebrew one. I'm a little proud of it, I'm not gonna lie. It's possible this has been a thing before, but I don't know if to this extent. Umbromancy, or Shadowcraft. The idea that you can weave and transform the shadows to do whatever you want. This comes because I've had the longest running thing in my campaigns has been the Shadow Hunter, quote unquote. This idea that there are people who can bend and weave shadows to form weapons, giant shadow spheres, walk in and out of it, hide, obscure themselves. That's just a random character I had randomly in one of my campaigns, and one of my players was like, that's cool, can I have that? And I'm like, sure. And then 5 years later, here we are, me making a full class on it. If you're interested in seeing the full class, let me know and I'll make a video about that too. I'll make whatever video. Listen, if you watch this and leave a comment, I might make a video on just the fact that you left a comment. But I've had Shadowcraft Umbromancy in my wheelhouse for a little bit. I've slowly been mixing and trying to figure out the best ways to make it into its own thing. And I think the idea that you can obviously slip in and out of shadows, summon swords, which by the way, there are spells that do that, so it's not unwarranted. I look at definitely the Shatterkai a little bit as a good stepping up point for how I'm making Umbromancy and Shadowcraft. Their ability to seep in and out of shadows is just a cool ability, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make it not game-breaking in the first few levels. But overall, the point is that you can bend the shadows to your will. It makes a giant hand. It can, again, make a sword. Through Umbromancy and Shadowcraft, you're able to bend these to your will. Completely forgot to say what I said, that Umbromancy is a form of forbidden magic. I'm even debating on making it ancient. I'm not sure. See, the fun part about this is right now, until players really ask for it, I don't need to have a hard definition. It can be a little bit more loose. That's why I have all the magic systems under the umbrella of ancient and forbidden. That way, when it eventually comes up, when a character eventually picks this subclass or does this thing or that thing, then I can put a stamp on it, put it into stone with a stamp. These are just the magics I use based off of what I know is coming down from Wizards, what has shown up from Wizards. It's quite possible Wizards of the Coast will make some sort of new magic that I'm gonna have to justify, and God help me on that one. But until then, I think just simply classifying under ancient and forbidden magics, I think it's cool. Anyway, that should be it for today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, because I have to say that stuff. I don't even know if that actually affects the algorithm in any way. Stuff's in the thing down below. And again, please leave your comments. I will gladly answer them as long as they're not just calling me a jerk. But now I'm going to get people calling me a jerk. Great, good job, Frank.